Hi there, I'm Andrea Maranville, Sweet Life of a Baker and owner of Silver City Baking Company. I'm really excited to be here at Gerhard's Equipment Store and Test Kitchen today making my lemon curd. So people say, lemon curd? Why is she making lemon curd? Okay, first and foremost, this is one of those things that, yeah, you could buy a jar of lemon curd at the grocery store. It is so easy to make and there are so few ingredients, and it's one of those really versatile ingredients that can go in just about anything. It can go on a cake, it can go in a tart, it can go in a pie, it can be a garnish, you can fill it with cream puffs. There are so many reasons and ways to use lemon curd. It can go on pancakes. It is one of those recipes that when you make it, you will find multiple uses for it. One of my favorite ways of making lemon curd and one of my favorite ways of implementing it is folding it into whipped cream and making a really light, luscious lemon curd whipped cream. It's a great way to do that if you want to put it in a cream tart or something along those lines. In this element, I am making it just so that you can see how to make it, how easily it is to come together, and what exactly goes into lemon curd. Okay, first and foremost, what are the equipment and items that you will need to create lemon curd? Some sort of a medium bowl, metal preferably, because what you're doing is, I have about 1 inch of water at the bottom of this pan. Because when you're making lemon curd, there are a lot of eggs in lemon curd. And if I were to cook the curd right in the sauce pot, it might get hot. I don't want to scramble the eggs. So what I want to do is I want to put it in what's called a double boiler, something like this. If you're at home, any type of a bowl will work. But what that's going to do is it's going to diffuse the heat and give a really nice low heat going up to the sauce pot, up to the pan or bowl, excuse me. Allowing us to create and emulsify and create that lemon curd, whatever the technical term is, without scrambling our eggs. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get this on the stove, and I'm just going to bring it to a simmer. Okay, I feel like I have about 1 inch, 1.5 inches of water in the bottom of that pan. You need a bowl, like I said, a whisk, a digital thermometer. Anytime you're working with eggs, especially in a commercial bakery like I have, you want to make sure when you're working with something with eggs that you bring that up to the pasteurization level. So you want to bring it up to 165 degrees. That's just what you want to make sure when you're baking or cooking, that when you're using something with eggs, that you bring it up to temperature. So what do I have going into this lemon curd? I have a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. Softened, almost melted. I'm going to put it right in the bowl. The other thing about this recipe is everything's going to go into the bowl at once. I have 6 tablespoons of granulated sugar, pure cane granulated sugar. That's the other thing. If you look on a bag of sugar, if it doesn't say pure cane sugar, 9 times out of 10 it's a beet sugar. So whenever I'm looking for my ingredients, I always make sure that the bags say pure cane sugar. Okay? And I'm going to use 2 lemons in this recipe. I'm actually going to use the zest and the juice from both of these lemons. Yes, you can buy extracts of lemon. You cannot replace the flavor of a fresh lemon zest or fresh lemon juice in a recipe. Anytime I work with citrus in any type of a recipe, I always use fresh lemon zest and juice. And so I'm going to use all the zest. You want to try to avoid going down into the white part. That gets a little bit bitter, but you just want to go ahead and try to get as much of that zest in there as possible. And then I'm going to squeeze out all of the juice from this as well. I'm not too worried about any seeds getting into the bowl or all of this zest, because that's going to get pushed through a chinois or some sort of a mesh strainer. If you don't have one, any type of a strainer will work. And we're going to be removing that. All we're doing is getting the essence from this lemon that's going to give it that bright zip that we look for in a lemon curd. Okay, so I've got both of my lemon. Now what I'm going to do is you can take you can obviously squeeze it by hand. If you have some sort of a zest, some sort of a, oh, this might not even fit, some sort of a juicer, you're just going to go ahead and try to get all that essence and juice into the bowl. Oh, juice flying everywhere. Okay. This is a lime juicer, but we're going to make it work. Now the last ingredient that's going to go into this recipe is just the egg. Now I have going into this recipe 2 whole large eggs. Anytime I bake, I use the large size egg. So I have 2 whole eggs and I have 3 egg yolks. But don't throw out that egg white from the yolks, because you can use that in so many other ways, like a meringue, which I may be making later today. All right, so I've got ahead and I've got as much of that juice out of that as I possibly can. Put that aside. So I am going to take 2 whole eggs and 3 egg yolks and put it right in the bowl. And then I'm going to go right over to the stove and we're going to start whisking. The next step is the most critical part. Build your arm muscle. You want to constantly whisk that, okay, in the bowl. If you stop, you run the risk of scrambling your eggs. So for the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to be standing over the stove and just whisking this nonstop. And what's going to happen is it's going to very, very slowly start to thicken up and thicken up and thicken up until it's that beautiful thick curd that we look for. Now in the beginning, obviously the butter's not melted. So in the beginning, we're going to wait, and eventually that butter is going to melt. Now I've turned the heat down to low, so you can see it's barely on a simmer. You don't want to go too high. You can see that butter is starting to melt. That's what you look for. It's not scrambling of the eggs, it's just the butter that's melting. Okay, so we have our lemon curd mixture. You can see it's nice and thick. But now don't forget, we have all those bits of lemon zest and possibly some lemon seeds in there. And so we just want to make sure, there we go, perfect. Okay, so how do you get rid of all that now that you put it in, right? So the next step is to push it through some sort of a chinois. Oh, I have a chinois right over there. I always like saying a chinois sounds so fancy, right? It's like, what's a chinois? Honestly, it's a strainer. But it pushes everything to the bottom. So if you're making like a fruit sauce or something, it really helps kind of push everything right through the bottom of what you're trying to make. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this right into the strainer. And what we're going to do is push out all of the beautiful, silky, smooth lemon curd, but keep all of the bits and pieces. And the other thing about this is, let's just say you do scramble your eggs just a touch. Okay, sometimes it happens. This is going to remove all those pieces from the bowl. Now, do you have to do this? No. But it just levels up your dishes a touch and get that really great silky smooth. Now this is going to go, I'm going to take saran wrap and I'm going to put this right on top. I didn't make a lot today. I made basically a very, very small amount of lemon curd. You can certainly double, triple, quadruple this recipe. It's going to take longer on the stove if you do that. Oftentimes when I'm working in the kitchen in the summer, or if I'm making this, I make a massive batch of it. This will keep in the fridge for about a week if stored properly, like in a sealed container. But in a commercial kitchen, you don't want to make just one batch of this because it won't last very long. Again, like I said, this is an extremely small batch because if you're in your home kitchen and you're just making it for something and you don't want to make a massive amount of it, this is what you're going to make, okay? But if you're making it in a kitchen or you want to have it for multiple purposes, then you're going to want to make a much larger batch than this. Probably should have made more than this. I could eat this in one sitting. Okay, so why do we put cling wrap right on top? We don't want to develop a skim on top, just like pudding when it gets a skim. So you're gonna, however much you make, you're going to put it right on top, and then this is going to go in the fridge to chill. So I'm going to put this in the fridge and let this come to room temperature. You want to get this nice and cold as soon as possible. Again, don't forget we have eggs in here. All right, so we got to get this in the last chiller. So there you have a classic lemon curd recipe, and can't wait to show you how we're going to serve it.